Wonderful. We are live now. So, first of all, thank all of you who are watching this evening. This is the Mind and Mana channel here on YouTube. And here we center the voices of Black women 55 years of age and older who wish to improve their finances so that they can live a way of life that includes freedom, rest, travel, and ease. And I'm Sonia Folayon. I am filming this from Mexico, where I live most of the year. I'm also a resident of North Carolina. Uh, this is a live telecast. It's a live stream. There will be a replay of this channel. Please let me know whether you're catching the live stream or the replay. And as always, I welcome your comments. Please like, share, and subscribe if this channel is of interest to you. So tonight, I'm really excited to be able to interview someone I admire a great deal, a very talented woman, and a world traveler as well. And her name is Dawn Taylor, and I'm going to have her introduce herself to you in just a moment. Um, uh, Again, this is our YouTube channel. Please like, subscribe, and share. Um, and if I can provide any information for you on living in Mexico, relocating, please let me know. So, with that being said, I'm going to pass the baton over to Dawn Taylor. Dawn, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Hi, I'm Dawn R. Taylor. I'm a artist and writer. I live in Durham, North Carolina. Um, Over 50 and living my best life. That's me.
Beautiful. I had the wonderful opportunity of meeting Dawn at, of all things, her birthday party here in Mexico. I am going to ask Dawn to share a little bit about how she came to Mexico. And I'm really hoping that she'll share something about the fascinating novel that she's writing. Um, it's it's an amazing story, and she's an amazing writer. And then I'm also going to ask her some things today about what she's got coming up in terms of her art practice, among other things. So, Dawn, tell us how it was that you happened to come to Mexico, and I have the wonderful opportunity of attending your birthday party.
Okay, so I met a artist online, uh, Deborah, and we hit it off. We just, started talking about art and this, that, and the other. And then it turns out that she was in Mexico and I was here. And it turns out that she was based here. So when she came to town, she and I went to have coffee and was laughing and joking and realized we had a lot in common. And then she told me about the artist residency in Chapala and I should come and, all this other stuff. So I was doing a little bit of traveling and I was supposed to go to Morocco and like all up and down, like this tour thing. And uh, it fell through. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go do that for my birthday. I'm going to go to this artist residency in Mexico. So I called her and I was like, give me the information. And I went ahead and did it. I went to the artist residency in Ajijic. And while I was there, I was doing, I was writing, just enjoying Mexico on my own. And then she was like, oh, I want to see you while you're here. I was like, okay, great. Then she realized it was my birthday. So she was like, well, I think I'm going to gather up some ladies and we're going to have lunch. So I was like, all right. So I get there and it's like a party. There's streamers and all this beautiful stuff, at the restaurant and all you lovely ladies. And the funny thing was, I'm not a people person, but I'm not a big people person. But all of the women, it felt like just a gathering of a sisterhood with these women that I just didn't know. But it was fantastic. It was lovely. So I got to know everyone, and uh, you invited me to come to your place, actually in Chapala. So I traveled up there on the bus, which was interesting, and we met and hung out, and we've been sisters ever since. So yeah.
It has been so fabulous. And the other thing that was coincidental is that I came to Mexico this last time on that same artist residency. That's how I came here and moved and decided to move here,
Oh,
because the experience was so transformative for me that I was here for 2.5 months. I had been thinking about this residency for 10 years. The time
right.
was right. I took the opportunity. I came for 2.5 months, and I was here from June to August, and I moved here that very same December. It was such a transformative
Wow. Wow.
experience.
Well, I mean, I could definitely see why. Um, I think, with the political climate, has you thinking that Mexico is scary. If you're only listening on this side.
Hmm.
And then, so once I got there, I really came there with an American mind. So I was a little leery, of people. I didn't want to go out after dark and all sorts of stuff. And what I found was the complete opposite. I found that nobody's bothering you. People are very nice. My first, I think like the day after I got there, I walked up the hill to a little restaurant trying to, figure out pesos and how am I going to eat and all this other stuff. And I ran into this couple. I walked up to somebody and I was asking everyone, do you speak English? Do you speak English? So this I walked up to this couple. I was like, hey, do you speak English? And they were like, yeah. I was like, well, do we seat ourselves or, I don't know what to do. So they were like, no, no, you seat yourself. I was like, okay. I sat down, and then within 3 minutes, the woman that I spoke to came up and invited me to their table. So I had lunch with her and her husband, people I didn't know. And not only that, we were talking about what I was doing. We had these great intellectual, quasi religion, just everything conversation. And when I was getting ready to go, they were like, no, lunch is on us. They paid for my lunch. We took pictures together. They gave me their phone number, invited me to their house for coffee. I was like, and still, I was loving it. But in my American mind, I was like, now, wait a minute. I need to be kind of leery, And so when I got back to the Garden of Dreams where I was staying, I was speaking to Bethany. I was like, hey, these people invited me to their house. Is that normal? I'm kind of leery. I don't want to end up, in a like with a serial killer. And she was looking at me like, no, we don't do that here. So it was like, oh, okay. And I ended up going to their house. They invited me a couple days later. I went up to their house, beautiful home up in the mountains. And we had coffee and yogurt and some other bread spread and had a lovely conversation for hours. So yeah. And we're still friends. Like we were on WhatsApp together and Facebook together. And yeah, so it was a beautiful experience. Beautiful experience.
Now, was the home that you visited, were they writers also, Dawn?
No, they were just a couple who moved from I think he was from, I want to say Canada, and she was from Iran. And they've been married forever. And
Uh-huh.
they moved from their places and bought a house in Ahahik up in the mountain and live there now. So, um, yeah, they do their thing. They just were friendly. But plus they were much, much older. I think he was like in his mid 70s, and I think she was in just knocking on 70's door. Um, but they were just so nice and so open and so, I was all worried, but I'm thinking to myself, if they weren't worried about me, coming and doing anything to them, it was me. But by the time and then okay, so when I
Yeah.
came to see you, which was really funny, I finally, after like the first week, I understood pesos. I was going to the bank and exchanging money and figuring out how to do this and do that. So I was coming to where you are, and I got on the city bus, and Bethany just said, "You want to get off at the terminal." So all I said to the bus driver was terminal and repeated to me in Spanish. So I was like, yes. So I sit on the bus, other people are getting off and on. I don't know where. Bethany gave me like some landmarks. If you see this, the bus is going to turn. If you see that, blah, blah, you need to get off at the terminal. Okay. So I'm watching out for these landmarks. I don't know what, I think there was construction. So I couldn't figure out, do I get off after the construction? So I end up on this bus, and they're driving up in the hills, and I'm thinking I must have missed something. And there were like here, sometimes you have like stray dogs in the street. There were these like wayward horses just, doing their thing, walking up the street. Some were galloping down the street. They looked like they had escaped and they were not going back. And all I kept thinking was stray horses. I've never seen anything like this before. So I called Bethany. I said, I think I overshot my stop. And she was like, you should get off your next stop. And I'm like, I'm not getting off at the next stop because I don't know where I'm at. So I say to the bus driver, I need to get off.
Right.
And he put his arm up and was like, no, terminal. So I was like, yes. So he was like, no. So he wouldn't let me get off the bus. And then I realized that the bus like did this whole roundabout. They were headed back to where we came. And then when we got to the terminal, it's like a little bus station. I didn't know whether that was terminal or not. And so he looks at me and goes, terminal, like, please get off my bus. So I got off the bus, and then I found you. I was like, okay, I know where I'm at now. But everybody was so lovely, helping me, making sure when I tried to get back, I was having difficulty. I didn't know what.
Can you say a little bit?
Okay, you froze, so I'm gonna wait a second.
Well, can you say just a little bit more, Dawn, about your American mind? Can you say just a little bit more about? Oh, this text. Here we go with technology again.
To me,
can you say just a little bit more about your American mind? What your mindset? What you realized about your mindset after you'd been here for a while?
What I realized was that I was very, very, very leery about everything. About going into the store, about who's following me, and when I went to pay for something, I had to make sure that I wasn't being ripped off, or if I'm going, where am I going, and how am I going to get there, and is somebody going to help me along the way. I really saw people as predators rather than just people who are doing their thing and will give me directions because I asked. And again, I think that has a lot to do with two things. It has a lot to do with the political climate, where we're told that everyone, of course, all Mexicans are drug addicts and gangbangers and all this nonsense. And and how we live. We here in America women have to be on high alert all the time. So you take that with you wherever you go, and it just wasn't like that at all.
Right.
At all. Mm-hmm.
So that was a, and that's not to say that, you shouldn't use common sense, because things do happen, obviously. But I think you're right. Indoctrinated with we're just indoctrinated in the U.S.
Yes.
A lot of it is ethnocentrism. A lot of it is racist ideology that we ingest every day. It's a lot. It's a lot to unpack sometimes.
Yeah. But I was happy that, that I didn't have to do that. That I was able to walk up to the store, at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. It was dark, but I was able to walk up there and not fear anything, so I got quite comfortable. By the time it was time for me to go, I was like, no, I don't want to go. I want to stay here. The only thing I could pass on are the cobblestones. Walking on
Do you see
cobblestones is
yourself?
horrible. It was cute for a week. By the
Yes.
second week, my feet hurt.
Yes. That takes some getting used to.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, falls are definitely quite common here, especially in Ahihique where you were, where there are very few sidewalks. There are
Yeah.
more sidewalks in Chapala, but for sure you're going, one is going to encounter some cobblestone streets around out here in these streets for sure.
Hmm. Yeah, I was told to, pay attention, don't text and walk because you can hurt yourself. I walked from the hotel to Walmart, which was a nice little walk. By the time I walked back, my toes hurt. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do
Mhm.
this again.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Can you talk a little bit how can you talk a little bit about can you talk about how that time away, what kind of effect did that have on your writing and on your art as a whole?
Okay, so you're kind of breaking up. You said, what kind of effect did my time away have
On
on
your
me?
writing
On my
and
writing?
on your
Okay.
visual art?
Um, One of
Uh-huh.
the things I did when I was there was on my little walkabout, there happened to be a, I don't know what it was called, looked like some sort of municipal building or area. And so they were actually having, there were artists had their stuff out. And so I walked through and was looking at all of it. And I realized that, I mean, the colors, I mean, I use colors, but they had colors. I mean, colors were jumping off the canvas. But the way that it affects the way that it affected everything, I think as a artist or as a creative, you must travel because you get stuck. You can get stuck, and your thoughts can become stale. You know, seeing the same things all the time. Being in the being out of the country, being in Mexico, Ajijic, and seeing Lake Chapala, it kind of relaxed me. So I was able to do some of the writing, like filling plot holes, um, thinking differently. Now, remember I told you about the couple that I met. My novel is considered like supernatural, but it's religious based. And the gentleman John, um, this man was like a walking encyclopedia of all different religions. So I think he studies religions. So we had this really
Mm.
wonderful conversation, 4 hour conversation, which helped kind of give me new questions and also help me look differently at my main character about what she was doing, why was she doing it. And oddly enough, the female perspective in the Bible, how much is like your regular Bible, how much of it the female influence is taken out and we're kind of forced to the back. He was coming. We talked about like the Garden of Eden and what do we really think that happened and da, da, da. So meeting people, being relaxed, really helped me kind of move forward with this in particular projects. And as far as my art goes, it just seeing other artists paint differently was eye opening. It made me want to say, you know what, I wonder if I can try that. Can I try that? And the thing is, I know people say, oh, you can go on the internet and see art, but actually, there's nothing like seeing art in person. Pictures of pictures do it a disservice. So it's actually seeing the art and what the artist was doing. Some of them were doing art really touches you and helps you open up your mind to, I would like to try that, or I wonder if I can do something like that. So that's how it affected me.
Do you do you care to share a little bit more about the novel that you're writing?
Sure. The novel is called Metamorphosis, and it's about a woman, a Black woman, who, when you meet her, she's on her 32nd birthday, and she has until her 33rd birthday to realize that she's the Messiah. I'm sorry. Um, so
Mm-hmm.
there are, of course, there's an angel who does a lot of watching over her. He's not allowed to reveal himself because of free will. I mean, he could just tell her, this is who you are, act accordingly, but he can't because of free will. She has to make the decision to come and have her metamorphosis. There are also, of course, the bad guys, the Order of the Oldest Science. Their job is to keep her mocked down or weighed down in worldly issues, so that she can't have any sort of enlightenment or epiphanies. Um, and you just follow her through her trials and tribulations for that year and hope that she makes the right decision. I don't know if she's going to make the right
Mm.
decision because she hasn't told me yet. So, um, yeah. So you just you meet her, you fall in love with her. Hopefully, you see that she is definitely flawed, and that's okay, you know. Um, and that even a flawed woman can be the Messiah. So that's what it's about.
It's it's an absolutely fascinating story, and I can't wait until it comes out. I'm not trying to rush you through it, but I really would like to get my hands on that book.
Yeah, I think it's funny because this is the story I've always wanted to write. So it's different from the stories that I've written. This is more like giving birth, because I've written other stories. I've had short stories published. I've started other novels, and they're
Mm.
okay. They don't really give me a lot of trouble. This one is like being pregnant for 9 months, giving birth, and now that the child is here and you're trying to raise it, and you're not sure if you're doing the right thing. You're telling it to do one thing, it's telling you it's going to do something else. People walk on.
Oh,
When I was introducing another character, I was typing because she was doing one thing. The character knocked on the door, and my first thought was, who is that? And when the guy showed up, I was like, who are you? I didn't know you were coming, so it's like, okay, but this one is like it. When I finally
wow.
finish it, it's going to be like, yes, finally. So, yeah.
So it's like I mean, uh, it, as you described it, that that's coming alive on every page. I can't wait to read it.
Okay. It'll be done soon. Sooner, you know, hopefully. Like I said, it's like an unruly child. When I say, can we do this? Sometimes, Jade will step up to the mental microphone and talk to
Yeah.
me. Sometimes she doesn't. Sometimes somebody else will start talking. It's like, I don't know who you are. Is something that you want to tell me? A lot of times they'll start their story. So it's like, okay, yeah.
Wow. Have you made any have you made any decisions, any life altering decisions or any substantive decisions that have or will change the trajectory of your life since you took that time out?
Yes, I have decided, and I've told my son, I'm not, I cannot continue to live here full time. So I just haven't decided where I'm going to go to live. Um, I love Ahahik, but I'm priced out there. There's no way I can do that. Um, and I know that the Lake Chapala area is open, so I could do that. I'm going to Greece in like 2 weeks. I'm gonna see what that's like. There's a couple of places I want to see first to make a decision, but I most definitely cannot. Um, I think continue to live here full time, and be healthy mentally, physically. You know, um, I think we're bombarded so much every day. My brain needs a respite. So I haven't decided where, but going there on my own by myself, just knowing one person, to start with, taking that leap of faith shows me that I can do that. I can pick up and go and not really, and be okay with moving someplace else. You can always learn. It took me only like a week to figure out the pesos and the exchange and walking into places and, paying for stuff. So, if it only took a week to do that, I'm sure in a few months I can master wherever I go. Hmm.
How has your son handled the news that you're going to be living abroad how
I think he would be fine with it. I mean, we talked
now
about
your
it.
son is grown,
Yeah, he's 22 now.
but how
Um,
is he handling it?
he's okay with it. I think he knows me well enough to know that my only thing to him was, look, if you want to stay in the house, as long as I'm alive, you can have it at a cut rate. If you want to get a couple of roommates to move in here with you, that's fine. So you have a place to live. If you don't want this house, let me know. I can sell it and I can move. Take my money with me, not a problem. But he knows how I
Mhm,
am, and I think he's okay with that because
mhm.
he knows that if, I guess, worst come to worst, wherever mom goes, I can go. So he's good. He also wants to travel. I think you know, I believe that you have to set the example always. If you want your kid to be courageous, they have to see you be courageous. If you want your kid to be creative, they've got to see you do that. They don't always act like they're watching, but they're watching you. you know. And so I want him to know that
Ab-
there isn't anything you can't do. And if you need to see me do it first, I'll do it first. That's not a problem. So, I hope
I
he
just
says he will
I
go abroad.
absolutely love I
Mm-hmm.
absolutely love that, Dawn, because that's certainly that was my thought process too. That I wanted my children to see that I didn't feel I had to stay someplace where I wasn't appreciated, and that
Mm-hmm.
I could make decisions for myself for a better quality of life, and that that I'm also blazing a trail for them and for my grandchildren.
Yes.
That was very much a part of my decision, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Absolutely.
And it's funny because I've
Absolutely.
always had a wanderlust. I mean, I left home at
Yes.
16. I joined the army. I figured I would traveled around a little bit, not a whole lot. Got as far as Hawaii,
Uh-huh.
and then ended up
Okay.
getting out after the war. So I'm like, I'm ready. I'm ready.
How many years did you serve?
10 years. 10 years.
Okay.
So yeah, but yeah, I I I, I want to see the world at least. At least 1 year, one country every year. Is good. It's good enough for me. Especially since when
Yeah.
my husband passed, I was like, you know what? And he was only 50, so I was like, he just turned 50. I was like, this. Even though
Okay.
life is short, you're like, okay, but nah, it
Yes.
was like really short. So he passed
Yes.
away, and about 4 months later, I got a nose ring. I was like, I always want a nose ring. I'm getting a nose ring. I have the nose ring first,
Uh-huh.
and then that following birthday, I was like, I'm going to go somewhere for my birthday. So I traveled to South Carolina, to Charleston, and then every year now, I drove out to Louisiana, to New Orleans. Then I went someplace to like Wilmington, and then to St. Lucia. So I'm getting further and further out. Mm-hmm. Life is too
Yes,
short
you
to.
are.
Mm-hmm. Every people are like, oh, I'm going to do
Yes.
this, I'm going to do that when I get older. Older's not promised. So you better get it done now. Mm-hmm.
Older is not promised, and the energy that you have at 30 is not going to be the same energy that you have at 50, and the energy that you have at 50 is not going to be the same energy that you have at 70. The energy that you have at 70 is not going to be the same energy you have at 90.
No.
So yeah, time is of the essence.
Yeah, because the other day I coughed and hurt my back. I was like to my
I
son, he was like,
see.
what is wrong with you? I was like, I don't know. I think I coughed and I hurt myself. So I was like, okay. I was in the gym. I was like, oh, go to the gym anyway. So I go to the gym and I'm on the treadmill, like, oh my Lord. I don't even know what happened. So yeah,
No,
it ain't the same
right.
body. It ain't the same
It's
30-year-old
not
body.
the same. Well, Don, before we go, can you tell us about what things you've got coming up? I understand that you have an art exhibition coming up, and
Yes,
that you are traveling, and you're traveling to Greece.
I am going with my girlfriend, Wesley.
Spill
You
the
know
beans.
Wesley.
Spill it. Spill
Huh?
it. Spill it. Spill it.
I can't hear. You said what?
Spill it.
Oh,
Spill.
yeah. Wesley and I are going to Greece, to Crete. We're going to be staying in Chania in a lovely house for 2 weeks.
Mm,
Um, yes, overlooking. There's like a big old. Oh, I think we got a 4-bedroom house, and there's a private pool, and there's going to be, like we're going to go take a cooking class, and just explore and see what's what.
beautiful.
Every time I talk to her, she keeps exclaiming that she's moving to Greece. And I'm like,
Okay.
can we come home first? And
Right.
then yeah, you can do that. So yeah. So and I'm laughing. I'm like, I don't know if I can afford Crete, but just like in Ahahik, I went to a rental office and was looking at the prices. So I was like, maybe I can afford it. So yeah, so hopefully, I can afford something somewhere. But yeah, so Greece should be lovely. Um, and then there will be the art show in Durham in May 11th, and it's called Prince for Prince. So everything has something to do with Prince, whether the pieces are purple or Prince oriented. Mine are just purple. They ain't got to do with Prince, but yeah, one of them looks like the
Mm.
Prince sign. Every time people come to my studio, they're like, "Is that the Prince logo?" I'm like, "No," but they seem to think that. So.
Awesome. Awesome. And this is it's coming up soon.
Yeah, May
It's coming up
11th.
May 11th.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and it will be in Durham. Did you
Yes. I don't have
Durham,
the
North
exact
Carolina?
address. I'm sorry. I don't have the exact address of the venue, but yeah, it's in Durham.
So those of
You're kind of going in and out.
technology.
Okay, I can hear you, but I you're frozen.
I'm back again. Just wanted to just to repeat it. May 11th in Peace. I'm sorry, Prince for Prince
Yes.
exhibition in Durham. Please go and check it out. Her work is beautiful. I cannot wait to get my hands on that novel when it comes out. Um,
Okay.
a Messiah who looks like that book. Um, and I just want to tell you thank you so much for being with us this evening and sharing. I hope you have a wonderful time in Greece. Make sure you let
Thank
us know
you.
when you get back. And I'm really, really excited about you coming back to Lakeside, Mexico.
Yes, yes. Definitely, definitely. Hmm.
All right. Thank you so much. And we'll see you all next week. Thanks again.